Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Bhushan. In the previous video, we have discussed about the edit operation. We have not completed yet, but in this video, we are going to complete that operation. But what we have done in the previous video is when the user click the edit link, the respective record will be displayed in the form, as you can see. So now in this video, if the user make any changes to these values and when the user click the submit button or a save button, we're going to update the record in a database. So that is what we're going to do in this video. So let's get started. So when I click the user submit button or a save button, it is going to, if I open the add.jsp, it is going to the /save request mapping. So that we have written in the employee controller /save. So the same method we will make use of for update as well. So if I go to the service implementation of save method, and in the service we are calling the DAO method. If I go to the DAO method, you can see that we have written a method called save or update. What it will do is it will take the employee object and it will get the ID. If the ID is coming 0 or null, then the record will be saved. So it will create an employee object. But if the employee object contains ID which is having any number, then it will know that the user is trying to update the record. Then the employee object will be updated instead of insert. So with that being said, let's go back to the controller. Okay, and when the user click the submit button, the request will be called to /save, and the /save will be here. We are not going to do anything, but we have to do one more thing in the add.jsp, which is we have to hide the ID in this form, because if you see this, we have not specified ID path anywhere here in this. So if we did not specify the ID here, then even also in the update the ID will be go as 0. So then the update will not reflect. So what we need to do is we need to hide the ID in the form. So form : hidden. So the path would be ID. So now when I save this, and if I go to the form and if I reload the web application, and now I'm going to edit the record. I'm going to change the Joseph to John, and when I click the save button, you can see that the changes are reflecting in the database. If I go to the database, and if I previously the record was Joseph, now if I rerun the query, and you can see that the name has been updated to John. Alright, John. Okay, now we'll create one more record so that it will see whether it is going to create or it will update. Okay, I'm going to click the add employee and I'm going to enter Kathy. Okay, Kathy, and she is a female. She is also development, and her date of birth is like 18/9/1990. That's it. And I click the save button. This time the record has been created instead of updating. So depending upon the ID, the record will be update and it will be created. So if I go to the controller, and if you see, we have returned this save method or a /save request mapping for both update and save. And I'm going to remove this one, put mapping. We don't need this. If we are using a REST API, then we have to then we may need this add put mapping method or a request mapping. Okay, I'm going to delete this, save this. So finally our application is up and running with all the operations like create, update, delete, and listing all the employee records. So this is how we can create a Spring Boot web application. You can see that how much easy it is to create a Spring Boot application. We don't need any web.xml, we don't need any Spring Servlet.xml, we don't even have to configure the Spring and Hibernate. If you are working with a Spring MVC and Hibernate, we have to do a lot of configurations. Like we need to create a transaction manager, we need to create a session factory, we need to create a data source, then we need to specify all the schema definitions. That is all in XML. If you are using a Java configurations, we have to specify we need to create a classes for configurations. We need to create a bean. We need to annotate all the methods with the at the bean rate and we have to do a lot of things if we are using a Spring MVC and Hibernate. But with the usage of Spring Boot, we can create a web application in just a minutes. We don't need to configure anything. Everything, it will be taken care by the Spring Boot. So it's a very nice tool, and it will reduce so much of code, and it helps developers to create applications in a few minutes. And all we need to do is we have to go to the resources, and in the application properties we have to specify the database username, password, and the URL, and the path of the JSPs where it is located. That's it. So that's all about this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video series. If you like this video series, go ahead and thumbs up, and click the subscribe button for more updates, and share this video with your friends. Bye bye. Hi, a very quick update from B2 Tech. I just want to show you something regarding this application. So I'm going to debug this application in a debug mode. So I'm not going to run the application, I'm just going to debug the application. And you can see in the console, as soon as we debug this application, we will get an exception. You can see we are getting this exception, which is a silent exception, exit exception. I don't know what is this and why this is throwing this exception. It is not going to affect anything anyway in your with your application. So if I just ignore the exception, and the application would work fine without any issues. Let me show you. See, the application is up and running, and you can even add the records. But why this is happening? What is that exception? I have googled that exception, and I got a answers from Stack Overflow that it is problem with the DevTools dependencies. So there is nothing we can't do with that one. We cannot deal with that exception. So what we can do is we can avoid that exception. So the way to avoid that exception is I'm going to stop the server, and I'll go to the window, and I'll go to the preferences, and if you go to the Java, and if you go to the debug, there is one option called suspend execution on uncut exception. So I'm going to uncheck this and click apply, close, and again I'm going to debug the application. This time we are not getting that exception. So by this way you can ignore the exception. See, the application is started and we don't get any exceptions. So this is a very quick update. Nothing to worry about this. If you are if you are debugging the application, and if you find any kind of exceptions like that, then just ignore it and just do what I have said, and everything goes good. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you.